All right, let's talk about how to actually do some Punnett square practice problems. If we look at example number 2, it says that free earlobes are dominant to attached earlobes. We always need to remember that when we're talking about this, we need to hammer stuff out. Then we need to make a key. A key's right here. After we make our key, we need to figure out who our parents are, and then we can proceed to answering some questions. All right, here we go. Free earlobes are dominant to attach. So I'm going to go ahead and underline free earlobes. If they're dominant, I know that these guys are going to be represented by a capital letter. And I know that my attached then have to be the opposite. So these guys are going to be represented by a lowercase letter. So let's go ahead and fill in our key then. I'm going to go, for this particular problem, I'm just going to use the letter E. So I know that free earlobes are dominant, so it's going to be a capital E. Attached earlobes are recessive, so it's going to be a lowercase e. I'm going to read on. It says, a man and a woman who are both, if you see the word both, it means that mom and dad are the same or have the same genotype, are heterozygous. So now we need to ask ourselves, what does the term heterozygous mean? Heterozygous means different. So let's go ahead and write that down. Heterozygous means different. If both of my parents are heterozygous, that means one is going to be a big E, little e, and my other parent is going to be a big E, little e. So now that I have that, I can go ahead and fill in my Punnett square. So I'm going to put one parent at the top, and I'm going to put my other parent on the side. Now remember, when we're doing our Punnett square crosses, whatever's here comes into the box, whatever's here comes into the box. So this is going to be big E, big E. I'm going to do the same thing here. Whatever's here is going to come here, so it's going to be big E. And then what's on the top is also going to come into the box, so this is going to be a little e. In this quadrant right here, again, we're going to bring in what's on the top and what's on the side, but I want to make sure I put my capital letter in first, so it's going to be big E, little e. And then finally, I'm going to have little e, little e. What I like to do next, because it makes it easier to answer questions, is figure out what this baby looks like. So I have a genotype here, but I want to know what kinds of ears it will have. So if we look at my key, anything with a capital E is going to have free earlobes. So I'm going to go ahead and write the word free here, so I don't get confused. Here I have a capital and a lowercase, so again, we're going to write free. This is going to be the same genotype. And then finally, if I look here, finally we have some attached earlobes because we have two recessive alleles. All right, now that I have that information, I can go ahead and start answering some questions. So if we look at number 1, it asks, what are the possible genotypes of the offspring? So here, all I need to do is list what my babies look like. Again, genotype simply means genes. So I want to know what my letter combinations are. So if I look here, it's possible to make a baby that's big E, big E. It's also possible to make a baby that's big E, little e. And then we can also make a baby that's 2 little e's. Looking on to the next one, it asks, what is the probability or percentage of each possible genotype? So again, we're just going to count. How many babies have big E, 1 quadrant or 1/4? So I'm going to write big E equals 25%. Then I need to figure out what is the probability or percentage of getting big E, little e. So I'm going to count. Quadrant 1, quadrant 2. So I have 2 quarters. 2 quarters add up to 50%. And then finally I have little e, little e. There's 1 quadrant that has little e, so it's going to be again 25%. For the next question, ask, what are the possible phenotypes of the babies? Well, I've listed all of my phenotypes. Some of my babies have free earlobes, some of them have attached. So I know it's possible for these parents to make babies that have both. So I'm going to go ahead and write down free. I'm also going to write down attached, because they can make both. Then lastly, I need to ask myself, what is the expected ratio of free to attached earlobes? The expected ratio of free to attached earlobes, all I'm going to do is ask myself how many look exactly like this. So I have 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to put 3, 2, 1. 3 of my babies have free earlobes. 1 of my babies has attached earlobes.